What is up, everybody, and welcome back to A Beer a Day with TK. It's my first video of the new year, and as it's a Wednesday, I'm going to do a WTF Wednesday video. For those of you who may be new to the channel, WTF Wednesday is a one day a week when I showcase a beer I normally wouldn't on the show. Sometimes that means I do stuff from the big boys, Bud Miller and Coors. Sometimes I do strange offerings from microbreweries that are just interesting varieties. And more recently, we've been doing some international beers. So the offering I have today is called Owl. This is a blonde ale from Outskirts Brewing out of Lima, Ohio. You might say to me, what's so weird about a blonde ale? The answer is nothing. I guess it's a pretty generic style, very middle of the road. But what makes this unique is that this one is called Owl. And if you look at the can on the artwork here, we see Help Me on it. This beer was brewed in honor of legendary wrestler Al Snow. So some of you may remember him from ECW, some may remember him from WWF, but when he was in ECW, he actually had a mannequin's head that he used to roll around with, and it would say "Help Me" written backwards on the head, and I think at one point he had it on his own head as well. So Al Snow, the wrestler who's Al Snow, is actually from Lima, Ohio, the same town that this brewery is in. And I first saw this, it popped up on their Facebook page. Now, Outskirts has been around in one form or another for years. It was initially a place called Vino Bellissimo, which was a beer and wine store going back, 10 years ago. So I've kind of followed them as they've gone to different locations. And then during the pandemic, they shifted over from being a beer and wine shop to a brewery. So I've had a few of their beers when I'm down that way because I actually teach a class at Allen Oakwood in the prison there. So this one here is brewed in honor of Lima hometown hero Al Snow. Help yourself to this light, refreshing beer. So I saw on the facial media post they had this beer, and I thought, oh, cool, wrestler related. I'll have to snap it up. And then I saw a photo of the owner with Al Snow. So Al must have been doing a show in town. I know years ago he had a wrestling school in Lima where he and, I think it was him and D'Lo Brown worked there, called Body Slammers. But I guess, I don't know if the one in Lima, I think the one in Lima shut down, but I thought I'd read that there was another one somewhere else. So I guess he was in town for a show, stopped in, checked out the beer, and took a photo. Still pretty neat. Now, stats on this, 4.8% ABV, 17 IBUs. As far as ratings, not a heck of a lot. It had a 3.9 on Untappd, but there was 11 check-ins. Beer Advocate, nothing. Now, I got a nice glass here from Maumee Bay Brewing. It's not too far from here. I actually went to the antique market with my wife, and they had tons of brewery-related stuff, but most of it was way overpriced. But I did manage to pick up a bunch of pint glasses, branded ones from local breweries, for between $2 and $3 each, which I thought was a pretty good deal. So, first things first, color on this. It has a beautiful kind of amber color to it. I'm looking at it here on my Brew HQ chart. I don't know, maybe like a 9. I mean, it's kind of like an amber color. It's darker than I thought it would be. Head, nice white head. It's quite thin, but I didn't leave a lot of room there. Probably should have tried to give it more of a hard pour to get a better head. Head looks, it looks like it should. It's kind of a whitish kind of color, kind of thin. Again, probably more because of my pour than anything else. Nose, lightly sweet. Tiny bit of malt, but nothing crazy. Take a little sip before I spill it. Body, medium body. This actually has a solid body on it. I'm somewhat surprised for 4.8 ABV. And when I saw on the back light refreshing beer, I thought maybe this would be super light, but it's not. Medium body, tastes pretty good. As far as the flavor, it's not super complex, but again, I mean, it's a blonde ale. If you're looking for excitement, head elsewhere, right? What do I pick up? I think up front, you definitely get some bready notes. It kind of has that, I don't know. A lot of times I think these types of beers taste like honey wheat bread. So if you ever get like the kind of generic honey wheat bread, it's just like a little bit of wheat, little tiny bit of a hint of honey sweetness. I think that's what you get from this. Now, the one thing I will say is the bitterness comes through fairly nicely. I saw it was only 17 IBUs, and I thought maybe this was going to be, just kind of a bland, generic beer, and it's not. You do definitely get a little bit of bite to this. It's not disturbing, and it's not a lot that if you're not a hophead, you're going to be put off or something like that. But there is a nice subtle hop presence in this, I think, that rounds it out a little bit, because up front, like I said, you just kind of get a little bit of malt, a little bit of sweet, decent little bit of hoppiness at the end. Crushable beer. Yeah, that's good. I don't know, man. Sometimes I think to myself, brewers try to do too much. If you can make a solid middle-of-the-road beer like a blonde ale, this one tastes pretty good, gets a little bit more of a hop presence than you'd normally get. Why the heck wouldn't you do more stuff like this? It's something Anderson and I rant about all the time. Breweries have 20 offerings, 15 of them are IPAs, and everybody else has to fight over the last remaining 5. Something like this would go over well at most craft breweries. If you are, you're used to dealing with folks that are craft beer nerds like me, and, folks kind of watch these videos. But what if you have your husband or wife with you, and they're not a drinker? Something that can introduce you to craft beer is perfect. Something like this would fit the bill. So for me, Al, I keep wanting to say Al Bundy, right? But Al Snow, the blonde ale from Outskirts Brewing out of Lima, Ohio. You guys killed it on this. This is a really good job. Now, I haven't been out to Lima as much because I didn't teach a class at the prison this past semester. But starting next week, I'll be back there once a week. So maybe I'll pick up some more of their offerings now, their canning stuff, and bring them back and do some more videos. So big thumbs up for Al. Hopefully you liked the video. If you do, give me a thumbs up. Hit that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, please hit subscribe. And as always, you got any comments or questions, jump in down below. Do you remember Al Snow? He was around forever, man. He was in WWF, ECW, everywhere you can imagine. I think he was in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, something like that. He's been all over the place. So if you remember Al Snow, let me know what you think about him. Let me know your favorite Al Snow memory down below. Hey, till next time, cheers.